Can get started. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining another amazing session of Live on ServiceNow webinar series. And this is, of course, another ITOM Visibility and Cloud Accelerate Academy webinar. Today we have, once again, great presenters and great topics to talk about. As a matter of fact, we'll cover the enhancement of application portfolio management with ITOM Visibility, which I guess a lot of you are already familiar with. Now, before we get started, I would encourage you to please notice that this is part of the Live on ServiceNow webinar series, which is an interactive series of events that allows you to really deploy, adopt, and achieve value faster with our solutions. In order to enroll into this series, you can see the schedule that is appearing here with the QR code, or alternatively speaking, we will post the proper link in the chat, and I will do that in a second. Already, you should get it on the chat. Now, housekeeping items. For those of you that have never attended some of these webinars, I would like to remind that please, you need to make sure that your line is muted, and please use the Q&A feature to ask questions throughout the session. As a matter of fact, we want to make this as interactive as possible, and we will definitely have polls. The polls are very useful for us to really understand what are some of your challenges or what are your intentions with our product. So please make sure you participate. And for those of you that are asking whether this session will be recorded or whether the slides for these sessions will be made available for you, yes, the answer is absolutely. They will be available in the ServiceNow community forum after this session and on YouTube. And specifically within that ServiceNow community page, you will also find an attachment with the slide deck that we're going to present today. And after this session ends, you'll be prompted out to fill out a short survey. We would really appreciate your feedback, so please make sure to spend 2 minutes and let us know how you really like this session, and we will definitely appreciate it. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Gian Mario De Luigi, and I'm part of the outbound product management team for ITOM. And today I am joined by two rock stars from the ITOM and ITOM world, I would say. And ladies first, so please, Kranti, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Gian. Hello, everyone. I'm Kranti Puligari. I'm the outbound lead for our application portfolio management product, which is soon to become enterprise architecture. And I'm excited to be here to share with you all some interesting updates that we have.
Thank you, Kranti. And Sri, please, over to you.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Sri Subramaniam, I lead the product management on the inbound side. Happy to share insights on the net new features that's coming out with service mapping. Over to you, John.
Amazing. Thank you so much for both. So before we get into the content, and today we have very interesting content, please make sure that we could mention some forward-looking statements, and just keep that in mind throughout the presentation for today. Now, agenda. We definitely have a lot to cover. We're going to see again how to instantly achieve a business-aware CMDB with the latest and greatest innovations they were bringing to the market. We're going to see a quick demo on that part. Then we're going to go through the enterprise architecture, enterprise modeling with Kranti, and we're going to see a quick demo. As I said before, we're going to have polls throughout the session, but especially a Q&A section at the end. And we're going to also see which questions you have for us throughout this presentation. So please keep those questions coming in. We are really excited to clarify any of your doubts. So yes, please make sure to leverage that part. Now, on to the content. First of all, I guess some of you have seen this slide before, and I would really like to remark, though, the importance of this slide. This is essentially telling you, okay, once you try to centralize your infrastructure view into one single data model and one single database, which is our centralized CMDB, And whatever way you leverage in order to populate that CMDB, whether it's through traditional discovery, service graph connectors, we want to make sure to provide you with the right tools in order to have a data platform that is really driving business outcomes. And today in particular, we're going to see the focus around why should you have a business aware CMDB? So how do you tie up the infrastructure level to the eventually the business context? And this slide right here exactly clarifies that point. You can see that we have multiple layers that you need to consider when really analyzing the different levels of awareness to your infrastructure. The first basic level is typically covered by discovery, where you have the technology layer that really allows you to see, okay, what is your technology state? What databases? Which servers, middleware you have, whether in your on-prem cloud environments, whether they are managed public cloud environments, etc. Well, we can scan all of those environments and gather the configuration data. But after that, you'll be wondering, okay, how do I make sure that I have more, that I understand how each piece of my infrastructure is connected to my application layer? And that's exactly why we have service mapping that allows you to build maps where we say, okay, the application service that I'm analyzing in this specific case is related to all these pieces in my infrastructure. And then if you want to build on top of that, the business context, well, that's why we offer the CSDM, which I hope everyone here is familiar with. Now, I want to ask you a question, first of all, but because we just mentioned, okay, it's really important if you want to drive outcomes to have a business-aware CMDB. In order to do that, or application service awareness, I would say, in order to achieve that, you need service mapping. But I want to know more from you on which of these methods are you familiar with? Are you more familiar with the top-down service mapping, or with the tag-based service mapping, or otherwise with the latest and greatest ML-based service mapping? I know that these are three really common approaches, but we really want to better understand which ones are you most familiar with. And I see that a lot of answers are coming in. Please just make sure to hit all the options. So which approaches are you most familiar with? And I'm gonna stop the poll in a second, and I'm gonna share the results. So it looks like most of you are definitely familiar with the top-down service mapping approach. And also more than half of you is familiar or using the tab-based service mapping approach. And about a quarter of you is more familiar with, also familiar, I would say, with the ML-based service mapping, which is in a way good to hear, because exactly in this session, we're going to show you how you have an, I would say, enhanced opportunity to really instantly build service maps with the data that you have in your CMDB today in an instant way. And now I'm going to stop sharing this poll, and I'm going to head it on to Sri, that is going to bring us through the different service mapping methodologies, and he's going to show us a demo of how to do that in a most efficient way. Sri, over to you.
That's awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, team. So firstly, let me highlight the three powerful methods of service mapping that we offer within the platform. So when you think about elevating the infrastructure context to the business context, you will have multiple consumers looking for the business dimension on the core data sets. Either it's your AIOps customer, or like you're looking at an ITSM persona who's trying to elevate the incident resolution or change management, impact assessment, or you're looking at an enterprise architecture team who's looking to get a blueprint of the infrastructure dependencies. And this is a place like where service mapping really stands out, because it is the automated way to find those relationships and provide that context to all these consumers. And like any other solutions, we offer multiple paths to achieve your goal. The product started with the top-down mapping, where you can add an entry point. From the load balancer, the discovery starts and finds the VIPs and look for the next hop, find the web tier architecture, look for config files, connection strings. So we can build a map from top down where the discovery technology can find those relationships. It is surgical in nature. It is very powerful. But most of the customers typically face issues in credentials, access to the config files, because these config file locations are not put into the standard locations. And obviously, you need to have some level of expertise in the patterns. So we evolved this to a tag-based approach where we clearly found many customers in the cloud and container world. Tagging becomes the de facto standard for defining those declarative metadata. And in this case, it can be an environment or an application context or cost center. So these tags now can be used to build that intelligence using the tag-based mapping. And this is one of the most favorite for our customers, where we have seen thousands of maps created in the cloud and container world. In fact, one of the customers with almost 22,000 service maps, primarily sitting just in the multi-cloud environment, clearly shows that how no, this is effectively being used, where you are also democratizing service mapping. You're not like owning that charter of building a map, where you're defining those standards and let the cloud team enforce those standards in the provisioning process, and the service map and service context awareness gets created on the fly. The machine learning mapping is again an evolution of how do we improve and elevate the surgical mapping experience, where the top-down mapping is super powerful. It is like surgical. It is looking for those config files and building that context. But there's a lot of traffic already available and visible via discovery. And why can't we leverage it? Why can't we synthesize it with machine learning, look for specific signatures that make sense to build a map? So that's how this experience is born. And with the Xanadu release, we are happy to, in fact, announce an fantastic capability that will allow you to do ML-based mapping, not just with your discovery running process and traffic data, not just with your ACC, which is your agent client collector, but with any third-party data source. So this includes your service graph data, populating your running process and traffic data. We can now analyze and synthesize, and we can build maps. And the good part is no mid server, no credential is required, because we are calling this feature as a CMDB based mapping, where we're going to trust the data that's sitting in CMDB, because in a service graph methodology, typically, no, you are connecting to the control plane, you're bringing that data into CMDB, and you not even have access to sometimes those no endpoints. So we are going to enable that ML-based mapping with service graph data for the third-party data sources. I'm super bullish on this. No, we'll highlight this no in this demo. So how do you get started? You need to just install Service Mapping Plus. It's an store application. Once you install, there is a quick remediation checklist. You can validate all those prerequisites, whether some of the ML-based settings are all active, because the clustering analysis has to happen on your data sets, in your running process, in your traffic data. So we will analyze and synthesize and provide that quick experience for you to view it. In the last release, we kind of introduced how Agent Client Collector, our own flavor of agent-based offering, can run patterns, can collect traffic data, that data can be used for service mapping. And this is again a feature that we see a lot of customers started trying and testing. And the good part is, like, customers use ACC not as in like in every single server, but they also use it in a hybrid mode, where 80% of the REST data still runs with credential based offering, but the remaining sensitive data, wherever you cannot crawl with the discovery, you put an agent to collect the data, and you populate the data into CMDB. So that hybrid approach is one such a pattern that we see with our customers adopting this at scale. But also, like with the Xanadu release, it is again a brand new offering, where we are now bullish that what we offered with the ACC can be easily expanded to the service graph data sets. And the key point is no middleware, no access is needed. So this means if you are operating in an OT world and if your OT technology is bringing that data sets like of running process and traffic, we can analyze, we can synthesize, and we can build a map within few seconds. And this is super fast, and you're going to see that in live mode. But one thing that I always suggest my customers is like, you need to clearly document the purpose and intent of why service mapping. Who are all the consumers who are going to effectively use this service map for driving what outcomes? We have seen traditional consumers like ITSM consumer using it in incident change problem, AI ops consumer effectively using for change correlation, but also for alert correlation and providing the business context. But enterprise architecture is something very unique because EA is sitting at the architectural level. They have been challenged with a few interesting problem statements, like either it's your tracking or lifecycle management and providing a proactive lifecycle scorecard to go after hardware and software products that are end of life, end of support. And you clearly see how the platform comes into play where discovery goes and collects the infrastructure raw data, gets normalized by software asset management, service mapping adds service context awareness, but the technology portfolio management, which is part of the enterprise architecture suite of products, really does the magic of bringing that data to that dimension. In fact, today you're going to see a quick demo as well. But my whole story is all about, is there a consumer who is really demanding that the data you see in the CMDB should have that business context, understand their needs, and then go after know their needs and build a quick service map, right, based on the use cases that they wanted to achieve. So with that note, let me quickly take you to a demo, and we'll hand over the floor with the EA team. So firstly, like service mapping, right? You can install it in store.servicenow.com. There's a app called Service Mapping Plus. Once you install it, this beautiful experience comes in. You can actually do the application service readiness checklist where you go and find out all the credentials and all the critical settings are all active. And except ADME, all those settings are all mandatory for the machine learning based mapping to work. But in the latest release, as I said, when the traffic is coming from service graph data, we will not even have access to those machines. It can come from a CrowdStrike, Tanium, AWS Service Graph, Azure Service Graph, or any other technology that is providing that traffic visibility, mainly the running process and traffic data. Then we will be building and curating candidates based on that traffic data. So a quick example, like I want to search for something that is using my MySQL database, and I clearly see like some custom applications where my MySQL is being used. I can do a quick preview of this app. So the ML quickly brings that context of what potential service map can be created. And with this experience, you will be able to get some confidence level. Let's say that, hey, I'm going to build a service for Acme, or I can add it to an existing service. But in this case, I'm just going to map a service. The only thing that machine learning cannot do is like, giving you the name of the service or giving you the environment or giving you the ownership, right? These are all always like some non-discoverable elements. But one thing that you see is like the service that I just created, Acme, is now already built. It is ready to be consumed for all outcomes that demands the service, where the service map is curated on the fly based on the existing CMDB and intelligence data that is already there in the system, where we're able to reconcile the traffic, we're able to build the maps quickly, and we're going to give you the context, which again can be effectively used for all outcomes. Let's say you wanted to use this map immediately in your AIOps outcome for alert correlation, right? So in this example, it's a pet clinic app, but the concepts of using this map to quickly bind those alerts and look for those alert correlation, providing the business context is all going to be readily available. So in the land of enterprise architect, one thing that EA team recently did is like effectively using this context within the designer experience. So in the later part of the demo, you're going to see more on this topic. But to show and highlight preview of what we are talking about, when you think about declarative constructs, like most of your intelligence is sitting in your Visio diagram, your Lucid charts, and all other diagramming tools, where you have non-discoverable data like processes and things that cannot be put into a traditional operational land like a CMDB. But then there are CMDB data sets, constructs. The service mapping is one such construct where you wanted to have the business context, but you want to tie this with all other non-discoverable elements. And that is one place like where the diagramming tool connecting the designer view with the operational view and providing that holistic experience for our customers within the platform. We are super bullish on this new experience that will drive net new outcomes. So with that note, let's go for a quick poll where we wanted to understand how the service maps are currently being used, right? What outcomes are being driven. And after the poll, like we have a magical experience coming from our enterprise architecture team. Over to you, John.
Thank you, Sri. So yes, we do have a poll, and I'm going to launch it now because we want to better understand with which processes do you plan to use or do you currently use application services? Is it for IT change management use cases, incident management use cases, application portfolio management that we're going to see in a second, or AOps and event management, or even security incidents and vulnerability response? I see many of you are participating into these polls, so I really appreciate the great interactions. And in the meantime, Shri, if you want to look at the outstanding Q&A questions, we received a lot of them. Maybe we can just pick one and just reply to one of those. Okay, I will just end the poll now and share the results. It looks like the vast majority of you want to cover IT change management and incident management use cases, followed by APM that we're going to see in a moment, AIOps, event management, and security incident and vulnerability response. So great insights, and thanks all for sharing your inputs here. And I believe that, yes, Sri, did you identify anything you would like to cover live, or we can wait?
Yeah, just one common question that many of customers ask us, like, hey, the fingerprint training processes track or this typically happens when you are cloning the data sets from your production to subprod and you're trying this mapping in subprod, or the data itself is corrupted. You can actually open a ticket and we have a process to restart all the machine learning process. So definitely it can be solved on the fly. But I'm going to answer all those questions, with the Zoom question and answer, and we will hand over the floor to EA team.
Amazing. All right. I guess, Kranti, over to you.
Thanks, Gian. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, thanks, Shri, for providing some context and introduction to enterprise architecture. I want to begin with some exciting news that we have. With Xanadu release, we are launching our own ServiceNow enterprise modeling and visualization capability. This enables all of the users within ServiceNow to leverage the CMDB data and native modeling capability. And by providing this capability, we now have the full suite of capabilities to be a complete enterprise architecture tool. And with that, we are very thrilled to announce that ServiceNow's application portfolio management product is going to be expanded and called a ServiceNow Enterprise Architecture going forward. I'm just going to touch a little more on some of the challenges that Shri talked about, that right now in a lot of organizations, operational teams and enterprise architects are living in different environments. The CMDB, discovery, service mapping, and all of the asset teams are most likely to live within the ServiceNow platform. And enterprise architects are leveraging several point solutions such as Lucidchart, Visio, Miro, and sometimes even PowerPoint. So they're living in their own world, disconnected from the operational teams. And this can result in several challenges to both the teams. The first being poor visibility. Enterprise architects might not have access to the latest operational data, while the operational teams may not fully understand what is the strategic direction, what are the investments that are being made into technology, and how are enterprise architects driving that business and technology alignment. Without this coordination, maintaining consistency across different parts of the organization would become really challenging. For example, oftentimes operational practices might evolve without alignment with the overarching architecture, and this could lead to fragmented systems and processes. And the second challenge is manual data integrations. Because all of the operational data is in CMDB and enterprise architects are working from a different solution, they often don't have the full visibility into the infrastructure that already exists. And to get that infrastructure information, enterprise architects could refer to different ways of collecting that data. It is by interviews, through surveys, through forms, and sometimes, unfortunately, even collecting data from Excel. And all of this could lead to a lot of inefficiencies, redundant manual work that could be eliminated by bringing them all on the same platform. And the third challenge is around reduced agility. Because they're in these silos, they're not working together, it slows down the critical decision-making processes for enterprise architects. And by working with sometimes out-of-date data that's coming from surveys or Excel, enterprise architects could often be slowed down, leading to reduced agility within the business. And that is why we believe leveraging ServiceNow's own enterprise architecture within the platform could really help connect operational and strategic teams so that they can work from the same data, have that full visibility, and get that view of both infrastructure layers and the design layers that Shri was talking about earlier. And by aligning these efforts, they can also collaborate through several workflows. And one of the workflows that I'm going to show you within my demo. And through these workflows, they can always stay connected, work on the same data, and obviously reduce all of that manual effort and any redundancies in work. I'm just going to briefly talk about what is our approach to enterprise architecture and why it is absolutely critical to have this be on the platform itself. So enterprise architecture has a key role to play. And it could be if enterprise architects are trying to create that strategic technology alignment, or considering application rationalization, or even migrating applications to cloud. Enterprise architects enable organizations to optimize their architecture through these 4 layers that are aligned to TOGAF. And TOGAF is a widely used architecture framework. And the 4 layers that we present within our ServiceNow enterprise architecture are business layer, information layer, application layer, and technology layer. Within the business layer, enterprise architects can get visibility into business capability planning. They can understand what are the different business capabilities we are supporting, which applications are supporting these capabilities, and what are the risks associated to those business capabilities through these applications and all the technology that is supporting these applications. The second layer is the information layer, and within this information layer, it provides insights as to what are the different information assets that are being stored within these applications. What are those information objects? For example, it could be PII information, credit credit card information, a lot of information that is being exchanged between applications and digital integrations. We can monitor all of that. And we can also check, are any of these applications acting out of compliance? Are they leveraging any sensitive data that they shouldn't? And through that, are they providing any risk to those applications? And the third view that we talk about is the application view. With enterprise architecture, you get a comprehensive inventory of your total business applications. And with that, enterprise architects get information about what are all the business applications, who owns them, and what is the cost of owning them, and how much technical debt is being associated to each application. And the last view that we provide is the technology view. This is where ITOM really comes into play and provides a lot of key information. With the technology view, enterprise architects can understand which critical business services or applications are at risk due to any technical debt. Are there any technology components such as hardware or software that are at end of life, end of support? And also, which applications are using any non-standard, non-approved hardware or software? And through these layers, ServiceNow's enterprise architecture provides a full suite of tools and capabilities for enterprise architects to analyze their technology landscape and make sure that the strategic business alignment. These 4 layers is something any enterprise architecture tool out there can provide, but what really differentiates our solution with it being on the platform is the fact that this solution is natively built on the ServiceNow's intelligent platform. And it supports the common service data model. And all of the models that we create leveraging our own EA solution are also going to be CSDM compliant. And by being on the platform, it really taps into all of the data that is coming in from other ServiceNow products, such as IT operations management, IT asset management, risk management. And by bringing in all of this data and insights, it provides enterprise architects with a unique position to be able to leverage all of this data to make informed decisions. And this is something no other solution can really provide because they lack the depth and the breadth of integrations that the Now platform can provide. And then I'm going to show you our new enterprise modeling and visualization capability. I'm just going to walk through a couple of slides and launch our demo. So this, the screenshot you see is something Shri has already shared, but this is a quick view of what is available within our enterprise modeling and visualization capabilities. And one of the primary use cases for enterprise architecture and ITOM is to leverage this capability. The different components that you see on the screenshot are essentially coming from ITOM. Once ITOM helps you discover all of these CI components, we leverage these CI components to create what we call a one-click current state modeling. If we were leveraging any other tool, enterprise architects might have to manually enter a lot of this information. However, by being on the platform and really tapping into ITOM's discovery and service mapping, all of this is being automatically populated for enterprise architects. And we also plan to support standards such as Archimate and BPMN. And we also plan to provide other types of modeling, such as business architecture modeling, value stream modeling, capability-based modeling, and modeling for application modernization, which we call as cloud architecture. So all of these other types of modelings, especially with business process modeling, this can really help enterprise architects and our operational teams collaborate to quickly identify and resolving issues impacting critical applications. And the second use case that we talk about, which again Shri has shown earlier, is with our technology portfolio management. wherein you can identify any risks associated with the underlying technology that is supporting the applications and take steps and measures to proactively mitigate those risks to make sure that there's continuity and no disruption for any critical applications in the business. This is another slide that talks about how you can leverage our technology portfolio management capability. It essentially enables enterprise architects to proactively monitor the life cycle of all of the technologies that an application is using to reduce risk. And it automatically assesses the risk in using outdated software and hardware. And of course, all of this information about hardware and software is coming in firstly from ITOM through discovery, and then it goes into ITAM to add in the information about the life cycles, and it is being visualized here as a timeline view to make it really easy for enterprise architects to understand what's the risk and when is it coming up, so what can they really do to mitigate that. And the other use case that we have that potentially leads into EA plus ITOM is something we call as technology reference model. So what TRM enables enterprise architects to do is they can go ahead and set standards of what are some of the approved hardware and software that can be used within the organization. And once any hardware or software is discovered within ITOM, it can be easily classified as if it's approved with constraints, or it is not approved. And enterprise architects can quickly get visibility into, are there any applications using unapproved hardware and software? If they are, that means there's a risk associated with that to the business, and they can proactively go ahead and take measures to mitigate that risk. One of the key benefits of leveraging discovery here would be as soon as a hardware or software is identified as something that is unapproved, they can go ahead and mitigate that risk instead of waiting for some other information to be coming in from other sources if all of these didn't exist on the same platform. With that said, I'm going to quickly show our roadmap for what's coming in enterprise modeling and visualization in the future. In the later half of 2024, we are going, with Xanadu release, actually, we are going to be launching CSDM modeling. That is, you can leverage all of the data coming in from ITOM to create that one-click current state modeling. And we also have workflows in place to make sure that the CMDB team and enterprise architects are working lockstep to make sure that any changes, any new items that have been added by enterprise architects are being approved by the CMDB teams, and then that information resides within the CMDB. In the early 2025, we are going to be launching our business architecture modeling, value stream modeling, and business process modeling. And one thing that might be relevant to a lot of you is we are also going to be launching the ability to go into enterprise modeling and visualization from within the CMDB node map that most of you must be familiar with. So I'm going to show you that too later. And in the later half of 2025, we're going to be launching cloud architecture modeling. This is all around that cloud acceleration journey. And then we have some plans for providing Now Assist or AI capabilities within modeling too. With that said, I'm going to switch my screen to start the demo. All right, let me know if you're seeing the enterprise architecture screen. I'll take that as a yes. All right, so this is what we call as the enterprise architecture workspace. This is essentially a hub for the enterprise architects to come in and look at all the data and information that is relevant to them. First, I'm going to start with the whole technology portfolio management. So this is the homepage. And within the homepage, enterprise architects can get insights into those 4 different layers that we talked about: application, business information, and technology portfolio. So I'm on the technology portfolio tab. And you can see here, it pops up different cards that talk about the different types of risks that applications have. Here we're looking at business applications with lifecycle risk, application services with lifecycle risk, hardware models, software models, and service. So enterprise architects can quickly get insights into all of this. We can go ahead and view all of the lifecycle risks. So in this view, I have actually grouped everything to be. So this is the regular view you get. It will show you the business application service that's tied to it, and what is the type of CI. Is it hardware, software? And it will provide you information about software models, hardware models. And one interesting thing to do is you can go ahead and group by these product categories. If, for example, a group by software, you can also group by hardware, server, etc. And if there is any software product or hardware product that you know that has an upcoming risk, this provides a quick way for you to group by it and go and see what are all the applications and application services that are leveraging this hardware or software that are at imminent risk. And it provides you with these insights so that you can go ahead and take an action on all of these together. So I'm going to show you one specific application here. We know that this seems to be having some upcoming risk. And this is what we call as the application record. And you can see different tabs that show different information about that application. I'm going in to see some information about TPM discovered technologies. And these are all the technologies that are coming in from ITOM and ITAM with the lifecycle information. You can see information such as what type, what's the product, what's the hardware software model, and also the server information that's tied to it. And then I'm going to jump into what we call as the lifecycle timeline view that shows, okay, this is the application. It seems to be having a high upcoming TPM risk, and it seems like it's using some technologies that are having some high risk. So what can we really do to mitigate that risk? You can go into this view to expand all and see we were looking at the SQL Server. You can see that right now it seems to be going into end of support. So they can go ahead and choose to create an action to extend that end of support, or they can go ahead and create a demand to purchase the license to continue using that so that any of these applications won't be at risk. So that was our TPM use case that we were talking about. And another way to really use this is in something we call as application rationalization. So once we launch application rationalization, all right. Let me refresh. Okay, I'm having some issues with this view, but let me get back to it after I cover modeling maybe. But essentially, application rationalization view provides with different ways to analyze information, and one of the ways to analyze your application portfolio is through this technology risk score. All of that technical debt that we saw earlier in this life cycle view will be calculated into a score, and that score would help enterprise architects really analyze their application portfolio and rationalize any applications that are at high risk and have very low business value. With that said, I'm going to go into our modeling capability. This can be accessed from within the enterprise architecture workspace. And you can go ahead and create any type of new models from here. But I'm going to show you another way to leverage ServiceNow CMDB data to create that one-click current state model. So we went back into this application record, and this is something you're all familiar with, the CMDB map. Once you open it, it will show you all the relationships, the business capabilities, the hardware, software, and all of this that is supporting this. However, this is only a current state view, and you cannot add or edit it to create future states. And that is why you can leverage our modeling capability to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a diagram. And I'm going to just give some random name, future state for attendance and payroll management. And I'm going to create an archi. You can select the different categories of diagrams you want to create. I'm going to select that. And this is where you can really leverage all of that data that exists in the CMDB. You can pre-select all the information that you want to bring in from that CMDB. I'm going to add in everything that I think is useful for me, and I'm going to create a diagram. And we can see a pop-up here that says that the diagram is now ready. And there it is. This is something enterprise architects, if they were leveraging other tools, might end up spending a lot of time in trying to add all this data. But here you can see it's all done in one instance by leveraging ServiceNow's data. And this is where it's really valuable and powerful for our enterprise architects, because this is all the data coming in from ITOM. This is the same data that the operational teams are also going to use and leverage. So here you can click on the side panel to see all of the data that exists about this application within the CMDB, and you can also add new elements if you require. For example, let's say I forgot to add something and I would like to add related elements. I can then go ahead and also add any additional elements that I want. That will then be instantly populated. And then I think that I want to add more information. And to create those future states, enterprise architects can leverage what we call our modeling palette. Here you can see the different types of general shapes that are available that they can leverage to create some components on this canvas, or they can also leverage ServiceNow CIs such as applications, application services, business capabilities, and all of these components. I'm going to go ahead and add a new business capability that I think this business application is going to support. I can go ahead and give a name that says view payroll data. And then I can save it. It will get. And then I can also drag and drop to create relationships. Okay. My demo instance has been acting up. But anyways, you can go ahead and create relationships between any new components, and you can also select what is the type of that relationship. You can select based on different types, such as provided, provided by, used by, etc. And you can see here all this cloud icon here that shows that this is something that is already on the CMDB, whereas the new component that I added is not on the CMDB, and this new relationship that I added is not on the CMDB. So we can go ahead and submit this for approval. Let's say this is the future state I want to submit this for approval. I can go ahead and submit that, and this will send a notification to the enterprise architecture teams, and you can also configure it to send a notification to the CMDB team so that they can review this request and make sure that this new information can be committed to the CMDB. I'm going to impersonate our enterprise architect. I'm going to go into the new model. And then they can go ahead and approve any new changes. So here's where they can view what are all the different diagrams and images and models that are associated to this application within the architectural artifacts. And they can go ahead and view these, and then they can also approve any changes. And you can see information about who created this, which version is it, what are the related entities that are tied to this business application, and there's also different permissions and permission criteria that they can go and look into. Let me see if my rationalization is working. If not, I'm going to end this demo. Unfortunately, this tab is something I'd like to share, but it isn't working. But yeah, that essentially concludes our demo of enterprise modeling and visualization. And I'm thankful for all of you for providing me with the opportunity to showcase this. And I'm really excited to see how you plan to leverage this. With that said, I'm going to launch a quick poll.
All right, I think Kranti, I'm gonna share my screen in a minute. Oh, you're sharing yours, sorry.
Yeah. So now that you've seen the demo and our presentation, what are some of the capabilities that we showed you today in enterprise architecture that you see using within your organization? You've seen enterprise modeling and visualization, technology portfolio management, and technology reference model. Are these something you plan to leverage?
Alrighty, I see a lot of you are definitely answering these question, and I see a lot of interactions for sure today. So in the background, we also have one of our top experts, Kim Rasmussen. So thank you, Kim, for joining and contributing to answer all the questions in the background. I guess we can stop here and share results. It looks like most of the participants are interested in enterprise modeling and visualization and technology portfolio management, and also a significant portion of you is interested in technology reference model, which is great. And I'm gonna stop sharing. Kranti, I guess you have another slide, or we can end this session.
Just a quick note, I would say.
Sure.
So you've seen me share our enterprise modeling and visualization, but there are tons of other capabilities within our enterprise architecture product. And if you're interested in learning more and looking at an in-depth demo and understanding our roadmap, we have a session that's coming up in September called our Enterprise Architecture Vision Series. If you're interested in learning more, please sign up and attend the event.
Amazing. Alrighty, so I'm gonna share my screen because we are almost at the end of this session. Most of the questions have actually been already covered in the Q&A section. So thanks to our experts that have answered all of those. Then, as I said before, just please make sure that you enroll in the Live on ServiceNow webinar series. You have the link in the chat, and I'm gonna post it again just so everyone can leverage it. Then if you want to check the previous sessions of our Visibility and Cloud Accelerate Academy, just please make sure to either use the QR code that you can see here, or you can take a photo and you can leverage the link that you just see in this specific slide. I'm just going to give you a moment so you can grab a picture and you can get the link in that sense. And that will be it for today. So please make sure again to enroll in our Live on ServiceNow webinar series. Thank you all for the great participation. We have one last question for you. So please take the survey at the end of this webinar. I just want to take the time to thank Kranti and Shri for an outstanding session today. Thank you, Kim, for helping with the Q&A. And again, thanks all for attending.